So Microsoft is being extremely stubborn right now, and this is so weird because I know a lot of us maybe thought they would do something different, maybe take a different tactic, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case after all, and it just leaves me scratching my head a bit. I'm not one to really, I hate to harp on the negative. It does kind of suck to do that, but at the same point in time, you look at some of these things that's going on, and you don't understand it. Like, I don't really understand what Microsoft is thinking. The way that they're kind of handling these things is anything but with tact. I just think that it's just one of those things that kind of happens or whatever. But still, I think that Microsoft has a lot of work to do. They've lost a lot of this trust with the fans. They've lost a lot of trust with the media. Everybody's talking about Xbox, but not in a good way. And I guess in some of these ways like this, it's like it's even more confusing things on top of what was already confusing, which is unfortunate because, like I said, that's what this generation is going to be known for. One of the most disappointing generations I've ever experienced, though, and I've been gaming, since the 1980s, but it just is honestly just unbelievable how this generation has been. And this isn't just an Xbox thing. This is a Sony thing too. It's like it's been just super disappointing. I like Sony hasn't gotten their big hitters out like they normally do. There's Microsoft kind of giving away all the exclusives, raising the prices, layoffs, all this, nothing real innovative. It's just a real shame that this stuff is happening, but at the same point in time, we move forward. We kind of look at what's happening in gaming and kind of hope for the best. But this was interesting because I felt like maybe it showcases that Microsoft knows they're wrong, but they're not going to do anything about it. So anyway, Game Pass, as you know, was raised by 50%, but apparently users in some regions will avoid the price hike as long as they stay subscribed. According to this, multiple regions, including Poland, Germany, Indonesia, Austria, India, and Ireland, have reported receiving an email from Microsoft stating that their Ultimate subscription will not increase in price as long as they remain subscribed. And it's very interesting the way that this has kind of happened, and the reasoning behind it just basically has to do with the government and things like that. So that's one of the things that kind of is a little bit shocking anyway, is that this is happening. So it says, and I quote, "At this time, these increases will only affect new purchases and will not affect your current subscription for the market in which you reside, as long as you are on an auto-recurring plan. This has been verified as well. Should you choose to cancel your plan and repurchase, you'll be charged the new current rate. It's speculated that the change in these countries is likely related to local regulations around these changes." So yeah, it's like has to do with law. So it goes to show that this is kind of a nonsense thing that Microsoft is doing in the first place, and it's realistically a shame, that this is happening. So Microsoft, if you did miss it, announced that they're going to do a 50% price increase to Game Pass Ultimate, which is now $30 a month, which is, unfortunate. And people are rightly upset and kind of pushing back to that and things like that. So I think that's smart on gamers' part to kind of make a big deal out of that. You want to make sure that it's known that, hey, I don't want to, pay this, I don't want to do that. And again, that seems like that's probably the smart thing to do, to be honest with you, because Microsoft, it doesn't seem like they're going to change anything, to be honest with you. They're not going to go out there and go, okay, well, now we're going to go back on this, which again, makes you wonder how much they even care about the Xbox, So, we'll have to wait and see how that kind of all works out. But it is strange to me that this is kind of happening. There were people saying that the email wasn't genuine, but apparently it's been verified now that is happening. It has something to do with EU law, but apparently not everyone across Europe is getting it. And unfortunately, Microsoft has yet to provide a full list of countries that won't be affected by the price increases. For what it's worth, there's been no evidence that members in the likes of the US or the UK, Canada, or Australia are getting it, because obviously we're not exactly protected the way that some of these other people are with some of these negative things that kind of happen. It could still extend beyond Europe though, so it's worth checking out to see if you received anything. But like me personally in the US, nothing. There's still a lot of confusion around the email and this whole situation, and Microsoft's lack of transparency and multiple renewal prices appearing within different areas of Xbox itself. So all this should be taken with a pinch of salt for now. Don't be surprised if the price hike takes place everywhere. Again, it doesn't look like Microsoft really gives a crap about their own platform, their console, or any of that stuff. And when you see stuff like this kind of happen, and it just really goes to show that what they really care about. So it's a real shame that this is happening, but it's not a complete shock like I originally had thought. Hey, Microsoft will probably do something like raise it $1 here, $1 there, and I figured within a couple years period we'd be at the $25 mark, but not really the case right yet. It's like they jump right to $30, which is super unfortunate to say the least. And again, Microsoft is going to Microsoft. They're the ones that seem to hurt themselves more than anything with a lot of the things that they announce and a lot of the things that they do. So we'll see. We'll see how this happens. We'll see if anything can change where the ship is going. Right now it doesn't look like that way to me. It looks like it's an unfortunate situation for sure. But again, anything can happen at pretty much any time. So we'll see how Microsoft handles it. Maybe one of these days they'll be able to kind of handle things in a different way. Maybe they can get something kind of going. I don't know. It's really just kind of hard saying, and again, I'd hate to kind of speculate with it. So Microsoft are the ones that are going to have to answer for this. Like if the fans are going to be outraged and say something, then they're going to do it. And I'm all for it. Microsoft fans should speak up. We should be the ones kind of giving our 2 cents, and they should be understanding that they work for us. It's our money. We're the ones that are buying into this stuff. We're the ones spending the money, and it's really on them to kind of understand that. So so many companies and things just do whatever they want, and Sony's done this, Nintendo's done this, but if enough people got together and were like, hey, you know what, I'm not putting up with this anymore, I'm going to do this, that, or the other thing, then you would see things kind of change. And until people kind of speak in mass, which maybe they did, here's the problem though, right? Microsoft, maybe they wanted people to downgrade to the middle tier so that they will buy the games, I guess. But if you're a gamer on Xbox and you play your games online and they're not free to play, you need some form of Game Pass, because they replaced Gold with Game Pass, right? So you'll need some form of that. And it's kind of interesting the way that these things are kind of shaping up to be anyway. So we'll see. We'll see how Microsoft kind of handles this in the future or whatever, with like how people kind of maybe left the the Game Pass, and maybe many went down. Some probably just took it though. It wouldn't surprise me if some of the people that even speak out just kind of sat back and took it, and that's kind of an unfortunate situation to find yourself in as well, that there's no pushback. It's like they let Microsoft do whatever they want, and I'm an Xbox fan, but this is going to be a very strange situation going forward, because I'm a fan, but at the same point in time, you can't just be the type of person that lets a company walk all over you and do whatever they want. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to do that. So hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to be one of those people that's like insanely negative like all the time, man. I actually hate that. I try my best to like the good stuff, if there's good stuff, talk about it, but it just doesn't seem like there is a ton of that kind of stuff going on right now. So again, we'll see what happens. We'll see if Microsoft can get things going in the right direction before too long, before it's really, really too late. I know we go, oh, well, is it too late already? Maybe, I think that there's still probably some very hardcore fans that, love Xbox and will, want Xbox to do whatever they can do. But for me anyway, I look at it and I just think, man, they really dropped the ball and they really could have done some things differently. And that's the case with all companies, man. I don't get it twisted and believe that these companies like us and really tried to win us over. They just want our money. And so that's kind of the thing that we deal with as fans. It's just they want to take our money, and they don't care how they do it, you know. This just goes to show you really kind of how things are going. So, you know, I know a lot of you guys are probably feeling the same way I do about this stuff, but I would love to hear it down below. You know, let me know what you guys think. That's always welcome to kind of like bounce some ideas off each other. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll link this in the description. I hope you guys all have a great day. If you guys do like the content, please subscribe, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. Rack 'em up. I'll catch you guys next time. Crap Gamer out.